People who've been to doctors, right? And they haven't really gotten the answers. So they've looked at their labs and they've been told they've been normal. What do you say to that person when they still feel terrible, even though all the doctors say everything is fine?
I say that you're right. You know your body better than anyone.
How does aging well look like to you?
It looks like full range of motion, doing functional movement every day. It looks like eating what works for me 100% of the time.
Welcome to The Vitality Choice. I'm your host, Christine Costello, wellness educator, founder of a science-backed supplement brand, and someone who has spent decades studying and applying the science of what allows the body to stay strong, energized, and resilient through midlife and beyond. This podcast is about rewriting the narrative on aging. Each week we explore the everyday choices that shape how we age, from strength and metabolism to nutrition, mindset, recovery, and connection, so you can live stronger, healthier, and more vital at any age. Because aging isn't the problem, decline is. And when you understand how your body actually works, you can make the choices that allow you to age powerfully. So let's dive in. I'm looking forward to this episode today. I have a special guest with me, Beth Mielbrecht. She's a personal health coach specializing in bioenergetic testing. She's developed the precision healing method to help her clients get to the root cause of their symptoms. Her clients call her the health detective because she helps clients translate their symptoms into actionable insights.
So welcome, Beth. Before we get into your protocol, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? My understanding is that you've spent decades as a mechanical engineer before turning into health coaching. So what prompted this career change for you?
Well, I found that helping people be healthy helps them do their job better, and it makes them better at solving problems. They're also more fun to be around. So I decided that the health of my team was just as important as my projects. But I noticed that when people got sick, sometimes they didn't really know what to do, or if somebody in their family got sick, they were just struggling, and then they didn't do their work very well, and clients could get upset, or the project didn't go well, or the team kind of was like, hey, what's going on? The thing that prompted the change was watching my team and knowing that I wish I could do more for them. Because sometimes my team, whether it's a company or a department or a worldwide team, really struggled with their health. And as their manager or their employer, I kept a boundary between what I would help them with. You know, I would ask them certain questions like, have you eaten lunch today? Or how's your family doing? When I knew something was going on. But I kept that distance because I didn't want to invade their privacy. And yet I knew that they were struggling and they needed something more than what the standard system offered, because things weren't getting resolved. And I know this from personal experience because of how I raised my family. There was an incident years and years ago when my son was a baby, and the pediatrician said, oh, that's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do. And if you've ever heard something like, you just have to deal with it, if you're a mother of a baby, you won't accept that as an answer. And I definitely did not accept that as an answer. And I said, thank you very much. I walked out of there. I never returned, and I figured it out on my own. And so I used different approaches to take care of my family. So all these years later, after being a mechanical engineer, I realized that the thing I wanted to help people with most was their health. Because when people are healthy, they solve problems better. They're more creative, and they're more fun to be around.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. When people feel better, they live life a little bit better. So I applaud that that kind of action for you. So what did the people around you think when you made that change? Like, were they very shocked and said, what is she doing? How can she move from there to health?
Well, there were two reactions. One was that one, like, hey, what are your credentials? How can you be a health coach? Well, I do have a health coaching certification. I do have certain credentials and things that I've studied and certifications, but I enjoy being outside the standard system because I see things differently. And that allows me to do my work with complete freedom. When other people heard about it, they said, Beth, I knew this was meant for you. You are the healthiest person I know. You are always glowing. You look amazing. I wish I knew what you did. And you have been this way your whole life. So it's so obvious that you're now helping people with their health. So I had both of those people commenting.
Yeah, you had the devil and the angel on both sides,
Yes.
right? That's awesome. So I'm assuming that the engineer in you shows up in your work. Like, tell me a little bit about how you utilize that skill set that you developed over those years and apply that into health.
We mechanical engineers are your practical, hands-on, fix-it kind of people. We deal with things that we can hold in our hands. We build your cars. We make sure you have heating and air conditioning, the basics. And when something goes wrong, you want a mechanical engineer in your corner because we're going to fix it and it's going to work right. So what that means is that I am really good at seeing processes and how things connect that are different than the way other people see things. And so just because nobody ever thought of it that way doesn't mean it can't be so. So integrating concepts like traditional Chinese medicine, the acupuncture meridians, and homeopathy, along with other things, into one system makes perfect sense to me because all of those methods do relate in certain ways. And I can easily hold that map in my head and connect those dots. So when I'm working with someone and they have issues with their lungs, we look at all different kinds of things. We don't just stay in lungs because we have a whole body. And engineering looks at the whole system. You just don't make one change without affecting everything else. We're all interrelated.
I agree 100% with that comment, right? Like everything is fully connected within our bodies. And by just turning something off or turning something on, you don't know necessarily what that effect is going to have on the body downstream. And so being able to look at the full system is really important. And, I approach that as well in my coaching. Same thing, looking at the full body. So
Yeah.
you talk about the body as a system that's always communicating with us. So what do you mean by that when you are discussing this with your clients?
Your body is communicating with you, and sometimes you think that means it's a symptom and you should silence it. But I encourage you not to silence it. Those messages are like love letters from your body. It's not spam. So when you feel an ache or a pain, that is your body communicating with you that something needs attention. But sometimes the thing that hurts is not the source. For example, when you have a hurt shoulder, you could have pulled it when you were lifting weights, or you could have a hormonal imbalance, or you could have stress from family or work, and all of it could contribute to making your shoulder hurt. Your whole body is a system, and treating it as individual parts. And we tend to do that with specialists and go get a specialist for each organ and body part. After a while, you'll realize that everything is connected. You don't just have a collection of parts, you have one whole body.
Perfect. I love that. So you also deal with people, just in talking with you and looking through your site and just getting familiar with your program. You mentioned that people have been to doctors, right? And they haven't really gotten the answers. So they've looked at their labs and they've been told they've been normal, just like you were talking about with your son. So what do you say to that person when they still feel terrible, even though all the doctors say everything is fine?
I say that you're right. You know your body better than anyone. And blood tests, labs, they're great, but those are lagging indicators. They are recording changes that happened after something processed in your body. The first step is when something's out of balance is you feel it energetically. And then it starts going in and those changes affect your blood, your urine, and those biochemical reactions happen. So then when your blood is drawn, that is looking at a point in time, and it can find important things. So I'm not dismissing it, but there's more to it than that, because then your lab results are compared to an average population that the lab uses. I don't know about you, but I'm not average. I don't think any of us.
That is, none of us are average, right? And then there's optimal ranges versus the full population ranges, right? And so my focus, right, is really on fine tuning those people into their optimal lab ranges, because so many things are indicative of each other. And if you can get yourself in a tighter space, you perform better, you feel better, right? And so it sounds like your approach is a little bit before even that process starts, to really find out where that root cause might be coming from, which is a perfect segue into just kind of explaining what it is. What is bioenergetic testing that you're doing with your folks? What does the session with you look like?
What bioenergetic testing is muscle testing. And muscle testing is also called applied kinesiology. And that technique is typically done in person. And the premise of it is that your body knows the truth. So, Christine, if you held out your arm and I pressed down on it, then what would happen is if I said, your name is Christine, your arm would stay straight. But if I pressed down on your arm and I said, your name is Louise, your arm would have like a slight, the muscles would lose tension, and the practitioner would be able to detect that and say, oh, that's false for you. So you could go through and ask a series of yes/no questions to find out what is in balance and what is not in balance. And it would require the skill of the practitioner and be able to read your body's muscle responses. What bioenergetic testing is doing that digitally and remotely. It's far more accurate, it's far more comprehensive, and it happens to be a method that works so well with my brain and how I operate. I have lab-grade equipment and I have computer software. And so I'm sending questions to you and getting yes/no answers, but I'm also getting the responses back with more information than that, and it's being recorded on my computer so I can keep going through your whole body. And so I'm asking your body what's out of balance, and then if something is, I find out what do you need to be in balance. So homeopathics are so wonderful at addressing physical and emotional. And as a homeopath, this system works really well for me because it's a homeopathic-based system. Each organ has its own operating frequency. So when it's out of balance, it's easy to tell. So bioenergetic testing looks like me doing that remotely. And it involves us talking about what you've tried and what hasn't worked before. And what are your desires for your health? Because often that's when things come up. Like, I really just want to walk on the beach and not worry that my knee's going to give out because the sand is soft. And then I know more like, oh, let's check cartilage. So as we do that, I get more ideas on which way to guide the questions that I do remotely. And then when a session is complete, I write up a full report with my own hands, no AI, no computer-generated report, and I give a list of practices, and I also take everything that your body asked for, and those are energetic frequencies, those are homeopathic signatures, and I put them into a bottle of drops and some patches, and I put them in a box and mail it to you so that you have something custom, energetic, homeopathic, that reminds your body of what balance feels like. And that, combined with doing some physical things, is what gets people on the road to healing.
So you've mentioned homeopathy, right? And for those people who aren't super familiar with what that is, right? This is just very minute amounts of a therapeutic agent. And you could probably describe that a little bit better, but it's just that is supposed to help the body kind of remember how to respond to that particular.
Right, exactly. You've got it. It's the energetic frequency of a substance, of a mineral, of a plant. So you can eat a salad. you're eating all the greens, you're putting parsley on your food, you are eating like the full plant. If you take herbal remedies, you can take a whole bunch of dandelion, and you can take the flowers, and you could take the plants, leaves and stems, and you can take the root, and you can make 3 different herbal preparations from them. And homeopathy is taking the energetic substance of that.
Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation. So could you give us like an example of one of the clients that you've helped, like how this applied to them? Like, so their full path of you worked with them, you went through that testing, then you created this homeopathic item and sent to them. And what was their experience? How long did it take for them to feel any differently? And what were their results?
Sure. So one of my clients is a cattle rancher. She gets plenty of exercise, and yet she didn't understand why she felt so low energy. She had a pretty good diet, but just didn't know what was going on. And when I worked with her, we found that she was, even though she ate a lot of meat, she was still deficient in some amino acids. Her body digestive and metabolic processes were not able to utilize everything that she was eating. So that was out of balance. We also found there were some other environmental toxins, a few heavy metals, and we worked a lot with some fear, a lot of fear in the kidneys. And that stemmed from, after a few sessions, she let on that she was in a relationship that was not serving her. And she needed to say goodbye and let that relationship go. So once she did that, things really took off. She was able to sense a change within a week after receiving the homeopathics and taking them, the ones that were matched exactly for her. And as we worked together over a course of 6 months, things just continued to layer on and improve. And the most amazing thing was that she told me her children had been so worried about her. And then after we started working together, they noticed a huge change. And they noticed that she had a spark in her eyes again, and she was laughing again. So that's a really powerful testament that other people can see the change in your health.
Now, did she also have to incorporate some lifestyle changes to go along with what you provided so that she could get herself fully back in balance? And you talked also a lot about energy healing as part of this process. So perhaps that was part of it as well.
So there were some practices. So I always recommend some naturopathic practices. She did need to change a few things that she was eating, which were not in alignment for her. And, she knew that. When food doesn't work for you, you typically know what that is. And so she was able to drop those things. And she is a tall woman. And even though she's very active and she's riding her horse and she's literally mending fences, she needed to do more stretching because her body would stiffen up. And so there were some practices around stretching that she incorporated. On the energy work side, I do use trapped emotion release. So I switch into Reiki mode and I'm able to check in with my clients on what emotions are trapped in your body that you're ready to release. Each time we did the bioenergetic testing, I also was able to identify some of those. That's pretty amazing because I am not a therapist. I am not looking for the big story, but this client, as well as all the other ones, would say to me, how did you know those things, they resonated so deeply with me? And it could be fear, it could be doubt, it could be unworthiness, it could be just not feeling like your work is contributing, all kinds of things. There's a technique to help release them. And we did that. And that helps lighten the emotional load as well.
Very nice. So it's nice hearing this. So you have a bunch of modalities that you use in order to really customize it for that person to get them to the state where they need to be. And we have talked about this before where, each person is an individual and not one person's symptoms is exactly the same for what that means, right? And the root cause behind that could be something completely different from one other person. And so taking that customized approach is what a lot of people need in this stage of life, because getting to know you, at least from my perspective, getting to know you and how your body operates is the most important thing for you, right? And following somebody else's protocol is not necessarily going to be the right thing for you.
That's right. That's right. Yes, personalized. And I know that that's how you operate as well, is things have to be completely tailored to you because what works for one person might not work for you.
Exactly. So for this show, right, my show is about aging and vitality, and the idea that decline is not inevitable. And when people come to you in their 40s, 50s, 60s, what are they struggling with most? I mean, is there a consistent thing that you're hearing from your clients?
It's typically energy. And then the energy spills over into other things. But they feel like they're not sleeping well. They don't have enough energy during the day. They don't have the stamina like they used to. And in that age range, people are at the peak of their careers. They're at the peak of family responsibilities with children. And so they need to be on it. And they push themselves even harder than they did when they were younger moms. So they are looking for help with energy. And then usually right behind that is about hormones, it's about digestion, and it's about the aches and pains that have been accumulating that now they're finally, it's time to look at it.
So how does aging well look like to you personally, for both in your clients and in your own life?
It looks like full range of motion, doing functional movement every day. It looks like eating what works for me 100% of the time. That's my standard. I don't go with the moderation is key to life. If I'm going to have a celebratory dinner out, that is a special occasion and I will participate in that fully. But every day is not a day for moderation. Every day is a day to eat what is important for my body. Aging well looks like having mental clarity, having physical mobility, and having a purpose that drives me in what I do every day. So with those things, that means I'm working hard, I'm moving hard, I am eating exactly what I that's delicious and works for me and works for my body, and just helping people.
Yeah, and that all of that sounds like the opposite of decline, right? So everything that we've been told or witnessed, in the movies, wherever we might see that, we see as you get older, you start like not being able to move and not feeling like you have a purpose. And somebody told me the other day that they work a lot with the older folks in an older folks home, right? And they say they're very cranky, right? And a lot of that has to do with all of these things that you're trying to heal, I'm trying to heal, helping people navigate what is out of balance for them. And so both of us have that fundamental belief that aging does not have to mean decline.
Exactly. Totally.
So, all right, well, just a couple follow-up questions here. Regardless of what someone may think about any particular method, you're fundamentally teaching people to pay attention to their bodies. What's one thing, simple thing, that someone can start actually listening to for their body?
So the next time something hurts, or the next time you wake up and you say, wow, I really didn't sleep well, stop and ask your body, what are you trying to tell me? And listen to the answer. You will get it. And the answer might surprise you. It might be, I don't want to go, or I really need a nap. And you've been holding on to it and it gets stuck somewhere. Listen to your body. It'll tell you, you shouldn't have eaten that thing. It'll tell you, put on your sneakers and go outside. Just listen to it. And the more you do it, the louder it will get and the more clear direction you will have on what your body is trying to tell you. And you'll feel better.
Right. It's that getting back to that intuition, things that that innate ability to know what is happening within ourselves and to be really clear and feeling clear with what we already know, if you will.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening right now who feels like something's off but keeps being told they're fine, what do you want them to know?
I want them to know that you're right. You are absolutely right that something's off, because you are the best person who understands your body. So keep going, keep asking. If the person you go to was dismissive, say thank you very much and go on to a next person. And there's somebody in your town, and you'll meet that person and you'll be amazed at a shift. And that will lead you to the next step. And you will likely assemble a team. You will be connected and understand your body more, so you will know who to go out and search for next. But keep asking.
Yes, and the message for everybody is that you shouldn't have to accept feeling poorly and being told you're fine. That there is somebody out there who can assist you with navigating that stretch and getting you feeling better. You just don't have to accept that answer. Whatever you take from today's conversation, I hope you take this. Your body is worth listening to. The signals are real, and you don't have to accept feeling less than well because someone told you your numbers look fine. That's a thread that runs through everything I believe. Thank you to Beth for such a fascinating conversation.
Thanks for spending this time with me today on the Vitality Choice. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you know someone who wants to stay strong, capable, and independent as they age, share this episode with them, because how we age matters, and the choices we make today shape the life we live tomorrow. I'll see you next week.